In this lecture, we're going to learn about compound assignment operators. And these are operators that allow you to do an arithmetic operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus, and assign the result to a value in one go. Let's look at an example here. We have value here, which is 45. It is an integer. And we're going to print that out. But if you go down here, we are doing value plus equal 5. And if you look at the comment here, this is equivalent to if you did value equals value plus 5. So what this is going to do, it's going to take whatever value is in this value here, it's going to increment that by 5. So that's going to become a 50. And we're going to store that 50 result back in this variable here. So by this time, if we print this out, we're going to get a 50. Again, we're going to take the value. It is a 45. We're going to add a 5. It's going to become a 50. And we're going to store that result back in this value variable here. It's going to become 50. And if we print here, we're going to get a 50. This is the addition version of the compound assignment operator. We also have a version for subtraction. And we have an example of that here. So it's going to take whatever value is in this value variable. It is going to find in a 50. We're going to subtract 5. We're going to get a 45. And that's what we're going to store in this value here. And by the time we hit this stdcout statement, we're going to print a 45. Again, we have another version for the multiplication here so that we can really play with all these things. We're going to take whatever value is in here. We're going to multiply that by 2 here. We're going to get a 90. And that's what we're going to store back in this value. And if we print here, we're going to get a 90 printed out. We're going to go down and do a version for a division. The value is 90. We're going to divide that by 30. And we're going to store the result back in value here. And we're going to get a 30 stored in here. And if we print out, that's what we're going to get here. We also have a modulus version of this, and it works really well. Here we have in a 30. We're going to take it and do modulus 11. And what is the reminder of dividing 30 by 11? The reminder is going to be 8 because 11 can only fit in 30 2 times, and we're going to be left with an 8 because 30 minus 22 is 8. And that's what we're going to store in the value here. And if we print out, that's what we're going to get. Again, if you have trouble understanding this modulus operator here, please go back in a few lectures back. We had a chance to learn about it. Make sure you understand it and then come back here. And this is all going to make sense. This is really all compound assignment is all about. We're going to head to Visual Studio Code and actually play with us. Okay, here we are in our working directory. We're going to copy our template project as we always do. And we're going to put that in our compound assignment operators lecture here. We're going to come up and we are going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. The project is going to show up in here and we're going to open our main CPP file and we are going to remove what we don't need. We are going to put in our code so that we can start exploring this. We have a 45 in this variable here, which is an integer. If we print it out, we're going to get a 45. And down here, we are doing a compound addition. So what we are doing here, we're going to grab whatever value is in this variable. We're going to add a 5. We're going to get a 50, and that's what is going to be stored in here. And if we print this out, we're going to get a 50. Let's put in a terminal here so that we can see this running. And we're going to run the task to build with GCC as we always do here. And if we run our rooster executable, we're going to get the value is 50. And that's what we expect here. Okay, this is the addition version of our compound assignment operator, and it is really equivalent to doing this in 2 steps, saying value equals value plus 5. You're going to get the same result if you do that here. Actually, let's do this so that you don't think that I am making this up. So let's comment this out and we are going to say value equals value plus 5. And if we build again, run the GCC task and run the application, we're going to see the same thing. We can also go down and run the subtraction version of this example here. Here we are taking the value that we have in here, which is a 50. We are subtracting 5. We're going to get a 45. And a 45 is what we're going to store in this value here. That's what we're going to see if we print this out. So let's run the task to build with GCC so that our changes are reflected in our output. We're going to run this and we're going to get a 45. This is what we expect. We are going to go down and do a multiplication version of this. Here we have our compound assignment statement. We are taking whatever value we have in here, which is a 45. We're going to multiply that by 2. And the result of that is going to be 90. And we're going to store that back in value here. And if we print value here, we're going to get a 90. Let's build this, run the GCC task, and we're going to run our program, and we're going to see that we're going to see this 90 here. We can go down by a few lines and put in the code to play with a division version of this. Again, this is going to do really the same thing, only it's going to be doing this for division. We're going to take whatever value we have in here, which is going to be a 90. We're going to divide that by 3. We're going to get a 30. And that 30 result is going to be stored back in value here. And if we print this out, that's what we're going to get. Let's build again. And the build is going to go through. If we run our program, we're going to get a 30. We are going to go down by a few lines and put in a modulus version of this. We're going to grab whatever value we have in this variable here, which is going to be 30. We're going to do modulus 11 on that value, and that's going to be basically 30 modulus 11. The result of that is going to be 8, and we're going to store that result in value here, and if we print that out, that's what we're going to see in this output statement here. We can build again, run with GCC, and if we run our rooster program, we're going to get an 8 printed out. And this is really all these compound assignments are about. And you might be asking, why go through the trouble to do something like this if I can do this like this? Well, C++ gives you different ways to do things. Different people have different preferences, and some people, me included, like to do things this way because it is compact. And once you use this, you're going to get used to this. You're not even going to think about it. In this lecture here, I just wanted you to be aware of this possibility because you are definitely going to see it in C++ code out there. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture. I hope you found it interesting. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to learn about relational operators in C++.